You know, they say the devil's in the details. This story is filled with the devil in the details. This story has a whole bunch of stuff going on. The Supreme Court is a broken institution, an unethical institution, an absolute tool of the Republican Party and the fascist in power. We have a Supreme Court that has granted a president untold, unprecedented powers, shielding presidents from any prosecution or accountability if they, up to and including dispatching a special ops military unit to assassinate a political rival. This was actually argued before the Supreme Court, and they ruled, yeah, the president can do what he wants. He can absolutely do anything he wants, up to and including political assassination. That's bananas. We have a Supreme Court that rolled back 50 years of precedent, stripping away women's bodily autonomy and healthcare autonomy, overturning Roe v. Wade. And at the helm, the tip of the spear of that decision, was Samuel Alito, who flew insurrection flags at his home and his beach house or lake house. He's a radical, a white Christian nationalist as a Supreme Court justice. And now we're learning that yesterday he spoke with Donald Trump on the phone prior to Donald Trump petitioning the Supreme Court to intervene in his hush money conviction, where he is due to be sentenced on, I believe, January 10th, tomorrow. And CNN sees fit to frame this as though Alito called Trump to try to get a job for a former clerk. That Alito called the president-elect, or felon-in-chief. And that's not what happened. I'm going to read a piece of CNN reporting after I play this clip of Caitlin Collins talking to Wolf Blitzer about it. And even their own reporting is different than what Caitlin Collins reports here. And the devil is in the details. Well, either way, it's bad, but it's even worse when the president is calling and not the other way around. There's a power dynamic here. It's why presidents don't normally go to Congress to lobby on behalf of legislation. They beckon congresspeople, senators, to come to the White House because that's where the power is. Of course, it's co-equal branch government, but that's not really how it works relative to the power structure. Here's Caitlin Collins, and notice how she frames it, again, of Alito calling Donald Trump.
Yeah, this is almost unheard of, Wolf, for an incoming president. But what we are learning and what CNN has just confirmed is that President-elect Trump did speak with Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito in recent days. And we are getting a statement from Justice Alito himself saying that it was at the recommendation of a former law clerk of his who wanted him to call the president-elect on his behalf and recommend him for a job in the Trump administration, in his government. Now, it is not unusual for Supreme Court justices to call and make recommendations on behalf of their former clerks. That's why half of them go and clerk in the first place, so it can help them, of course, with job placement. But what makes all of this so unusual, Wolf, is, of course, that call came one day before Trump's legal team filed that emergency appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court to try to delay his sentencing that is scheduled in the New York Manhattan hush money case this Friday. So far, his appeals there have been unsuccessful, Wolf. And I should note that in a statement from Alito, he said that they did not discuss that emergency application that Trump's attorneys filed today. And he said, "I was not even aware at the time that such an application would be filed." I should note, Wolf, we did have an idea generally that Trump's team was going to try to file something to the Supreme Court if they did not succeed with New York courts. But Alito is saying right now that that was not discussed, despite the fact that they did have this unusual phone call this week, Wolf.
CNN, right? So here's the article from CNN. Alito spoke with Trump before President-elect asked Supreme Court to delay his sentencing. Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito said he spoke with President-elect Donald Trump by phone this week in support of a former law clerk who is seeking a job in the incoming administration. But the justice said he did not discuss Trump's pending effort to delay his sentencing. One, and we'll get to it, I don't believe that. He's a liar. He's proven himself to be a liar. And he's talking about a conversation with another liar. I'll let you be the judge of which liar I'm talking about, whether it be the former or the latter. They're both sickening liars. William Levi, one of my former law clerks, asked me to take a call from President-elect Trump regarding his qualifications to serve in a government position, Alito said in a statement issued Wednesday. I agreed to discuss this matter with President-elect Trump, and he called me yesterday afternoon. So why is Caitlin Collins framing this as though Alito called Trump? Hey, I'm just trying to get a job for my former law clerk. Would you consider hiring him, President felon-elect? That's not what happened. Donald Trump called him again. So the problem with this is self-evident that Donald Trump, first of all, we cannot believe anything he says. He is absolutely either ingratiating himself to the justice to have called him. And if you are so naive to not think that Donald Trump either tangentially or directly spoke about his case that they were moments away from bringing to the Supreme Court, you're a rube if you think that didn't happen. We know too much about the ethics and the morals and the standards of Donald Trump to think otherwise. Unless, of course, you're Tony Gonzalez, the Republican from Texas, the congressman, who was asked this by Wolf Blitzer on the same program, and he doesn't have a problem with it. Blitzer asks, do you think it's appropriate for Trump to be speaking with someone who will actually be deciding a case against him? And Tony Gonzalez, yeah, I do think it's appropriate. Watch this.
You think it's appropriate for Trump to be speaking with someone who will actually be deciding a case against him?
I do think it's appropriate. He is the incoming president. He's a former president, and very soon he's going to be the current president. So I think, to me, it's a positive thing that President Trump is meeting with the Senate, that he's meeting with the House, that he's willing to have conversations with the Supreme Court. To me, that's what I look for in a president. I want to have more of that dialogue. And the more openness and the more transparency that we can have, I think the better it is for all Americans. I think that's one of the issues that a lot of people were frustrated with the Biden administration, just transparency. Let's just talk about these things. So I think it's very positive that President Trump and his team are having conversations across the board throughout all aspects of government.
Well, do you think Justice Alito needs to recuse himself from this Trump case right now?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, who knows what the conversation they had, but I doubt it was on something like that. There's so many things, so many important issues that need to be discussed, and I'm certain, there's a lot of that. So I wouldn't necessarily say that.
Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez, thanks so much for taking a few moments and joining us. We appreciate it.
This isn't transparency, you dipshit. Transparency would be Alito coming to the public and saying, hey, just as a matter of record, I want everybody to know I spoke with the defendant in this case that's going to be before the Supreme Court. He absolutely should recuse himself. It would be as though if Donald Trump was on the phone with Eileen Cannon regarding the case that was brought to by the government against Donald Trump for absconding with highly classified, top secret military secrets to Mar-a-Lago, that he stored in a bathroom, remember, that he's not going to be prosecuted because Merrick Garland was a feckless, ineffectual leader. This is wrong, but Donald Trump is the president of the United States of America, or he will be. He is immune from prosecution. He is immune from any ethics requirements, and apparently the Supreme Court is too. They will not gird themselves against the morass of unethical behavior. They accept millions of dollars in trips and vacations and gifts from their Nazi collectible aficionado clientele, because that's what they are, clientele. Anyway, I would love to know what you think. You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. You can email me, as always, daily@dollemore.com. Please consider supporting the work Become a channel member. Click join below, $2 a month, or you can go to my Patreon page, patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. It's going to be a long 4 years, brothers and sisters. A long 4 years. I'll see you next time. Be genuine and take care of one another.